Let me get my notes. So what they're basically going to do is they're basically going to make gun violence an epidemic. So they're going to classify gun violence as like a disease. That's why you have the CDC monitoring gun violence. The World Health Organization right now is determining whether or not they're going to take over our medical sovereignty or medical freedom. And so they're going to classify gun violence as a epidemic. And so you noticed you had the subway, the bomber and shooter in New York. He was from my community. He was basically against white people. And then you had the second shooter who was white. He was against, I guess, black people, even though ironically he was a liberal. But so as you see, they're letting gun violence touch every community. Now, this most recent shooter, they said he was for the trans community, but I don't know how true that is because the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community really doesn't do negative press. So when I saw that he was transgender, I kind of didn't buy it because they don't do negative press. So you won't see anything on the news negatively about the gay and trans community. If you don't believe me, just think about anything. Think about Juicy Smollett, and they're making them a hero. They don't do negative press. But the gun violence has gone against people in New York on the subway, which is everybody, people from my community in Buffalo, and now the Latin or Hispanic community in Texas. So you see that they're letting gun violence touch every part of society. And so the goal of all of this is to get your guns. I mean, as tragic as these things may seem, as bad as this stuff may seem, the goal of it all is to get your guns. But I want to start off with Steve Kerr. Now, Steve Kerr, now you know you all, I don't fool with liberals because I know a person being a liberal is, somebody said I have a picture of, I have pictures too, but I can't verify if that's really him. But so basically, Steve, I don't really fool with liberals. I don't fool with liberals because liberals actually are communists, meaning that liberals push an ideology of freedom for everybody, but it's not really that. What they want to do is force ideas on everybody, force the way they feel about life on everybody, and those feelings change from day to day. But I want to play this video by Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr, you can always tell it's fake based on how bad the script is. You know, usually it's a bad script. So let me go to Steve Kerr real quick. Let me say this video right here. Now let me go on Steve Kerr real quick. Let me see. And people send me a lot of stuff. You know, I get tagged a lot because of my content. People want to tag me and stuff and prove that America is racist, so they send me all this stuff, but they never actually send me anything that's policy related. They never actually send me anything that's system related. They only send me stuff that the average person is doing to the average person, which doesn't really qualify something for being racist. If America was truly racist, you all wouldn't be able to get on social media and cry and complain about it and expose it. So, and we know that when they said that Wells Fargo was racist and denying folks in my community loans, what happened? What happened to Wells Fargo? Why did anyone protest against Wells Fargo? If Wells Fargo was denying people from my community loans, business loans or home loans or whatever, why didn't anybody protest against Wells Fargo? Why didn't Wells Fargo lose money? Why didn't they cancel any accounts? You see, I know it's not real because people pick and choose what to be offended by. That's how you know it's fake. This is why all these topics really divide people. They don't give us unifying topics, but but when they give us a unifying topic, it's so that we can all consent to give up our rights. But let me go to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is acting tough too. Here we go. Now, you know, I don't have a personal problem with these people. I just know they're full of BS. That's all. I don't have a personal problem. I just know they're full of BS, and I can tell bad acting when I see it. But we're going to listen to Steve Kerr give y'all this masterful performance. And you all tell me if you believe he's sincere.
I'm not going to talk about basketball. Nothing's happened with our team in the last 6 hours. We're going to start the same way tonight. Any basketball questions don't matter. Since we left shoot around, 14 children were killed 400 miles from here, and a teacher. And in the last 10 days, we've had elderly Black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in Southern California. And now we have children murdered at school. When are we going to do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of I'm sorry. I'm tired of the moments of silence.
My bad.
Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like. It's what we do every week. So I'm fed up. I've had enough. We're going to play the game tonight, but I want every person here, every person listening to this to think about your own child or grandchild or mother or father or sister, brother. How would you feel if this happened to you today? We can't get numb to this. We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs. You know, come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game. And 50 senators in Washington are going to hold us hostage. Do you realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check? 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want. They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough. I'm not going to
now, does that sound like acting, or does that sound genuine? And I ask this because, Mr. Steve Kerr, if you are so concerned with the violence in our country due to guns, then why are you not concerned with all the violence in my community? Why is Steve Kerr not concerned with the violence in my community? You heard him say he's concerned about the violence in the supermarkets and in the schools. Why is he not concerned with the violence in my community every single day? Why is Steve Kerr not crying about these children being shot and murdered? Why is Steve Kerr not beating the table about these babies being shot and murdered? Why is Steve Kerr not in an uproar at the rappers promoting violence in my community? He's mad at the senators, but he's not mad at the countless number of rappers with songs on the radio telling us to kill each other. Why is Steve Kerr not outraged at a community that leads the nation in homicides? The people, the men in my community, which is 6 or less than 6% of the population, accounts for over 50% of the homicides in the country. I don't think you all know how insane that is. Why is Steve Kerr not beating his chest and beating the table about how much violence is in my community, about all the mothers that are crying? He even mentioned, he said, what if it happened to you? What about all the mothers from my community that get silenced by the media? What about all the mothers and fathers from my community that get silenced by the media as their children are being murdered? And you don't care, Steve Kerr, because the murderers don't fit a liberal agenda. This is why I don't fool with liberals. This is why I don't listen to liberals. Anytime it's selective outrage, it's not real. If murder is wrong, then we should be offended by murder, period. If murder is wrong, then we should be offended by murder, period. Why are we picking and choosing what's more important? We're talking about thousands upon thousands of people in my community being murdered, and nobody's saying nothing. And then when I bring it up, the only comments I get are, but white people. But white people what? Because white people don't account for 50% of the homicides in this country. But white people, but white people what? It's about proximity. Then why is it when I go to the white neighborhoods, they aren't murdering how we're murdering? Why is Steve Kerr not concerned with the murders in my community? Why has he never got on a platform and beat the table about all the killing in my community? Why hasn't he ever said a word? Why hasn't he ever fake cried crocodile tears? Why has he never not lip quivered about the deaths in my community? Not one tear fell. Not one tear fell. The NBA is disgusting. Somebody mentioned that Doc Rivers did the same thing last year. Doc Rivers did the same thing last year as he goes home to a multi-million-dollar home, as he drives in a neighborhood surrounded by white people. He's telling you how hard it is to be black, and everything around him is white, including his wife. I don't want to make this about race, but it's kind of hard to listen to people talking about how racist white people are, and they marry white people, they have children with white people, and they live around white people, and all their friends are white. It's kind of hard for me to listen to you that white people are racist. It's absolutely ridiculous and disgusting. Steve Kerr is fake crying about the shooting in the school, about the shooting in the supermarket, but not about the shootings every day that happen in my community, and not just Chicago. Do y'all realize during the Peter pandemic, the homicides in our community skyrocketed. And in 2021, they skyrocketed. You know why? Because everybody had, everybody had a defund the police campaign. Everybody had a defund the police campaign. So you're telling the police that none of the crime, they're not affecting any of the crime that's going on. This is what y'all saying. Defund the police means the police aren't curtailing crime. I just heard Stacey Abrams say incarceration is going up. Yeah, because crime is going up. What are we talking about? And it's just, and my people are disgusting, because we know the death that's going on. We know somebody that's been killed by somebody. Like we don't know that many folks that's been killed by the police. And I'm gonna get into it. We don't know that many people that's been killed by the police, but we know a whole bunch of folks that have been killed by us. But yet nobody talks about it. Y'all screamed out defund the police, and then when the homicides went up, y'all didn't say nothing. When the babies was dying, y'all didn't say nothing. I just talked about it last week. A 5-year-old boy was executed because he said he was going to tell on some people from our community doing what's wrong. At the time they were tearing the streets in Philly last year, protesting, there have been over 100 children either shot or murdered. Babies, ages 1 to 13. So why is Steve Kerr not upset about the children in our community being slaughtered by us? It's disgusting. And then all y'all can say is it's about proximity. Not that it shouldn't happen, not that it's terrible, not that it's horrible, but white people. And y'all want me to believe that y'all ready for a revolution. I don't listen to y'all. Because I know when push comes to shove, all y'all really want is a hug from a white person. Y'all don't want no change. But guess what? There will never be change in our community. You know why? Because the change always starts here with the individual. It will never be change in our community, ever, never. Let's have unity, never. It will never happen. Because accountability starts in here. I said it yesterday. I said that faith is a testing of a person's character. Faith is a testing of a person's character. So your character is going to determine everything. So when someone says that people are dying in our community and your response is, but white people, I already know you sold out to the devil. What's up, Mimi? Somebody said we need God. Somebody said we need God. We don't want God. Because God is love and love is accountability. We don't want God. Why? How can we? God is love and love is accountability. We don't want to be accountable. How dare Steve Kerr get on a platform beating his chest? He's the same person that supports defund the police. He's the same person that supports BLM. He's going to be the same person that supports climate change. He's the same person that supports the epidemic. All these issues that come together, it's all a setup. It's all to get you to give up your soul. I realized 2 years ago that this whole racism narrative was false. I saw it for what it was. Because I saw a bunch of people tearing up the streets. And I'm like, what are y'all asking for? And the moment I saw someone get asked the question, okay, what do you want? They had no answer. I said, dang, it's a setup. Steve Kerr has the audacity. Steve Kerr has the audacity to beat the table and fake cry about a shooting in Texas. And I can guarantee I can go to look at the homicides in Dallas and Houston that surpassed those shootings in that school by the thousands. And Steve Kerr didn't mention one thing about the deaths in Texas involving our community. So y'all can believe that Steve Kerr is woke. And I see a lot, and you know what I'm seeing now? I'm seeing a lot of fake woke folks from my community starting to post this liberal stuff. That lets me know it's working on you all. It's working. All they're going to do is pander to your insecurities because you really feel insecure about being Black. This is why I said to be Black is to be controlled. This is why I said don't be Black. Because if you're Black, you're already born with the script in your hand and you got to read it. And it's already one of inferiority. When you're Black, you're already born in a situation where white is better. How do we know white is better? Because all these people that are fighting for your people, as soon as they get some money, they leave the community. Their lawyers are white or Jewish. Their managers are white or Jewish. Their friends are white or Jewish. How is it that we got it so bad in our community, but when you get successful, you leave the community? So you know it's BS. It's fake. It's not real. Alec Baldwin shot 2 people on set and killed 1. Did Steve Kerr beat his chest about gun violence? Why did anybody talk about the gun violence on set with Alec Baldwin? Alec Baldwin killed somebody on set. Where's the gun violence? Alec Baldwin killed somebody. Now you all do know, if you work in television and film, nobody's being handed a loaded gun on set. Listen to me. Listen to me. No one is being handed. If someone gets shot on set, it's on purpose. There's so many hands that have to verify that weapon to where it's not even, there's no way it happens. So if anybody gets shot on a movie set, it's on purpose. There's no way you get handed a loaded weapon on a movie set unless it's on purpose. So Alex Baldwin killed somebody on set with a gun. Did you see it? Did you hear any outrage? Did you hear ban guns? Did you hear background checks? Universal background checks? What did you hear about Alec Baldwin literally shooting 2 people on set and killing 1? Someone says it doesn't fit the agenda. What did you hear about Alec Baldwin? Nothing. Nothing. And at the end of the day, you're going to fall for this stuff eventually, because all this stuff they're doing is testing your faith. And the faith tests your character. So all this stuff tests your faith, and your faith tests your character, because all faith is how strong your character is. If you really believe the things of God, if you really believe what God has for you, or if you just believe you can do it, period, it's still a reflection of your character. So when I hear my people talking about what they want the government to do, I already know you don't have any character. And that's really the problem with our people, is that Black culture doesn't promote character. It just doesn't. So if you don't have any character, you won't have any faith. If you don't have any faith, then you're going to perish. This is how it works. Someone mentioned the abortions. Yeah. So what they do is, you got to change the definition of something to make it more digestible. But let me go to the shooter. Steve Kerr up here putting on a Oscar-worthy performance. Disgusting. 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 Let me pull up some numbers real quick. So right here, no, I don't want that. I don't want that one. I don't want that one. Let me get a different one. Let me go there. I don't want that one just yet. I want to go to another one. And all these events are meant to tug at your heartstrings. So I have a number on the screen, you all, for YouTube, and the number is 723. Now you all might ask, well, what is 723? 723 is the number of Hispanic people that have been killed by the police since 2017. $723 is the number of Hispanic people that have been killed by the police since 2017. 723 people, including this year, have been killed by the police. Now I'm gonna ask you a question. When was the last time you saw the news talk about an Hispanic person being shot by the police? When was the last time they showed you a Hispanic or Latin mother crying because their son or loved one was killed, son or daughter or loved one was killed by the police or even husband. 723 Hispanic people have been killed by the police since 2017, and yet you haven't seen anybody. They haven't told you. You would never know these numbers even existed unless you looked it up. So why would the media not show you Hispanic people being killed? If police shootings are bad, then why wouldn't they show you everybody the police shoots? Put your thinking caps on. Why wouldn't they show you the Hispanic community with 723 police homicides since 2017? Why haven't they put this on the news? Why haven't they showed this to you? Now, keep in mind that over 95% of these cases, the suspects are armed. But the news won't tell you that. Anytime they leave out context, it's to deceive you. Because context takes away the outrage. It takes away the emotion. But as you see, and if you don't believe me, I got the numbers sitting right here. In 2017, 179 were killed. 2018, 148. 2019, 158. 2020, 169. 2021, 66. And so far this year, 3. So far this year, 3. So someone put in here that's 144 people killed a year. So why isn't the media showing it to you? I see everybody trying to relate policing to racism, and they use police brutality. But my question is, so if it's racism when the police officers kill us, then what is it when they kill everybody else? That doesn't make any, if it's racism when it happens to us, then what is it when it's everybody else? If a man is violent towards women, right? If a man puts his hands on a woman, someone could say he hates women. But if that same person puts his hands on everybody, now what's the reason? Now what's the reason? So if racism gets justified, the narrative of racism is justified by police brutality. So that means that we should see an overwhelmingly number of police murders in our community more than anybody else. It should be so overwhelming that the media doesn't mind you showing everybody else getting killed by the police because our numbers are so great. You ask the average person how many of us get murdered by the police, and they say stuff like 1,000 a month. I'd be like, are you crazy? Are you that slow? 1,000 a month? Okay. So 723 Hispanic people have been killed by the police since 2017. Now let's go to another group. So number on the screen right now is 1,940. 1,940 people have been killed by the police since 2017. What race are these people? Now, police brutality is strictly for Black people. Police brutality is specifically for our community. Not Black, but our community. 1,940 white or Caucasian people have been murdered since 2017. When was the last time you looked on the news and they played a video of a white person being shot by the police over and over and over and over again. When was the last time you watched TV and they showed you a video of a white person being shot by the police over and over and over and over again? Now, I'm gonna tell you what's funny about this. Now, when it came to the Hispanic people, folks did the math quick. But when I put up the number for white people, nobody's doing the math. When it came to the Hispanic people, people did the math quick. And they let me know there's that means 144 murders a year. But when it came to the white people, nobody's doing the math. Why not? Why is nobody doing the math on the white people being murdered by the police? They gonna do the math for us. They'll do the math for the Hispanic. They'll do the math for everybody else. But when it comes to these white and Caucasian people, they will not do the math on these numbers. Why not? They put the math up on the Hispanics being killed in 2 seconds. Nobody as yet did the math on these white people being killed. I'll say it for y'all on YouTube, 1,940. I got to tell y'all to divide that by 5. So why has nobody shown you the mothers, the white mothers crying, the white girlfriends crying, the white wives crying, the white children's crying? Oh, somebody did the math. 388 deaths per year. Somebody said 385. Somebody's math is off. But my point is, when was the last time you saw on TV a white person crying because they lost their loved one through the police gun violence? 388. So you haven't seen it. So now we have all these murders in the white and Hispanic community, and they haven't shown you anything. All these grieving parents and children and siblings and loved ones and friends and family, all these people crying about their loved ones being lost to the police, and the media has been silent on it. And the media has been silent on it. If police brutality is wrong, if police murder is wrong, then why are they not showing you everybody being killed by the police? I'll tell you, because when you show everything in context, you get rid of outrage. You get rid of outrage. Now, let's go to another number. Y'all gonna like this one. The number on the screen is 1,064. 1,064. Who is this? Who is 1,064? The 1,064 is us. Do the math on this. Somebody did it. 212 deaths per year by the police, over 95% of them being with an armed person, suspect. Y'all do realize that the homicide percentage by the police in our community is literally 0.03%. The homicide by police in our community is literally 0.03%. I'm gonna say it again. The homicides by the police in our community